We're here at Launch Radio, Geoff and Kira. Hello, everybody.
Episode 23.
Episode 23.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. It's been a couple weeks.
It has.
You know?
I was sick, like everyone else has the plague. What is that noise?
I do not.
Oh, it's that like.
Oh,
yeah,
like the odometer.
Yes.
We're not the most technical people in the world.
Well, I mean,
but
we try.
We try.
We're our own producers for the moment.
We are our own technical producers because I'm terrible with tech stuff. She's much better than I am, but neither of us match what these like tech producers in.
One day, Geoff. I feel like it's coming soon. I feel like 2020 is going to be I think January is when things are going to start to evolve.
You do?
Because I see it in the simulation. I'm programming it right now.
the simulation.
The simulation
is really something. This is like a hot topic. We've discussed this at least one other time, maybe twice.
A few months ago. It's hard for, I think, people to understand unless you're not, like, for me, when I first heard about it, I'm like, I'm sorry, metaphysics, what? Like, what are you talking about? And like, yeah, I went to college, but it doesn't mean I know like astrophysicist kind of stuff. And like, the more you read articles about it, your head is like spinning. So it's kind of like The Truman Show is a really good, or Matrix type of movie that, scientists believe, like Elon Musk and Neil deGrasse Tyson, that we are in a simulated reality. And so we want to kind of deep dive into that a little bit more today.
And we're going to dive into it. And I feel like let's make a couple grand statements just about it before we start. I think that things that people should know is, first of all, nothing is 100% certain. I mean, nobody has, for sure 100%, this is happening or this is not. We discuss it here because it's an interesting topic. Whether we are in a simulation or not, we don't know. That's one. And two, if the simulation exists, it could be anything. It doesn't necessarily mean computers. It could be something out of our understanding of what it is. Right. It could mean anything. I mean, it literally could mean anything. So I think that people jump to conclusions about, that people think this is 100% true or that it's 100% this or that. And really, from what I've read and seen, what we've discussed before, like, all possibilities are open. Anything could be happening. We don't know for sure.
I think that's how all things are. It's quite hard, and we were talking about medical stuff before we started the podcast. Not even doctors know what the entire brain does. So if we don't even know our own bodies and we still haven't discovered certain things, they just discovered not long ago how important the stomach is, and that the stomach actually has its own brain in it.
Really?
And the emotions that you feel actually carries it takes out so much serotonin, more so than your brain. And that was never even new. No one even knew that. So I think it's things like that, you start to question what's real and what's not, and how much is fact and what's not, and is there actual evidence of certain things, and because we don't even know our own bodies, we can't even possibly be 100% sure of something that's so universe, reality, because there's no real way to test it and to prove it that we're in some kind of computer simulation.
I think that, as far as I can tell, we all seem real. Kira, you seem real
I can
to
hit
me.
you and you're still there.
So it's true. And so...
Well, it's funny because I was reading this quote by this professor, technology university professor, philosophy professor, Preston Green. he penned a New York Times op-ed, and he said we should stop looking for evidence of this simulation theory because proving the universe is simulated would probably render the simulation useless for whoever is running it, meaning we could all get scrapped like a wayward family in The Sims.
I mean, so in other words, if we know that we're in a simulation, it could be like a bug in the system and they might turn the lights out.
They could be like,
potentially
could cause, quote unquote, the annihilation of our universe if we continue to dig and find the hole in our world. Kind of like Truman's Show. He had to run his boat into
the wall.
And he's like, what?
I'll tell you what.
Can you imagine if you ran your car into something and you see people behind the scenes and it's all this computer?
I mean, that Elon Musk is launching rockets. He's looking for the roof up there. I mean, Is that what he's doing? He's trying to find the roof of the universe? He's going to get us all in trouble because he's doing the Truman Show. He could be causing the annihilation of the universe as we know it, because whoever's running this so-called simulation that we are all in would be like, unplug. Right. So this author's saying, just leave things alone.
Right. Just continue with your daily life and live in your own little magical world.
Go back to Facebook, everybody.
Oh, right. Just believe everything you read. Just continue being a sim.
Yeah, just be a happy sim and live that way, or non-sim.
Correct. Stop digging, because if you dig, those that are controlling the programming may just turn the off button off on the whole thing.
So, okay.
So what part? I feel like simulation has like multiple levels to it. It's like, okay, do you believe that there's an entity there that's running the whole show, or do you I mean, you're much more well versed in the simulation kind of stuff than I am.
I mean, I'm somewhat, but here's the thing. Okay, so if what you were just saying, first off, the one entity. Well, if we're worried about them turning the lights off on the Sims because digging, but like, how does religion tie in with the simulation theory? Because if we're digging through meaning through religion, couldn't the lights also be turned off, like by God, by whatever God or religion?
Well, or that's a program that we were fed of, like, yes, there's a God, and yeah, just believe there's a God up there.
Right.
Meanwhile, behind the scenes, there's the computer nerd programming and algorithm of the whole thing, right? So I was telling Geoff before we got on the podcast, my boyfriend and I went to the Natural History Museum a couple months ago, and I'm like walking around, and I think that was right after our first simulation theory
discussion.
Podcast. Yeah. And we're walking around seeing all these massive dinosaur bones and all these like incredible things from 15 million years ago. And it's like, and I whispered to him and I said, wouldn't it be hilarious if this just all made up? I mean, how could you prove it?
Right.
No humans were alive back then.
Right.
What if it's just a program that we're being fed that, yeah, there were dinosaurs before us, just so it helps our brain understand that there was actually a beginning and end to the world. Whereas maybe someone just flipped a switch in the back and said, hey, you're here. And I think we've talked about, or I think you had talked about it before on your YouTube, where are your memories manufactured? Mm-hmm. Are they implanted? Or are they actual reality, and your perception of
like what we're actually remembering?
Correct. And you weren't there when you were born. Your parents were born there. Yeah. But they weren't there so it continues to go back. Yeah. And how do you know your memories are actually real?
Well, the whole memory thing is interesting, but what you're also saying about dinosaurs, yeah, it reminds me of that. How do you say meme? Meme?
Meme?
Okay, I can't say meme. It reminds me of that meme. That meme, I got it finally.
The meme?
There's a meme where it's like Lisa Simpson and she's on stage and she's like, the problem with dinosaurs is we don't actually know what they sounded like.
Oh.
So we see dinosaurs in the movies and we see them sounds and like the T-Rex
Ah.
growling, but like we have no proof those things made noise. Like
we have no proof that they exist.
so we think they walk around going like Jurassic Park and like like who made up that?
Well, it's interesting. To that point, they just discovered.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a month ago, a piece of bone that actually has the skin on it still and feathers. So now they believe that dinosaurs had all of these gorgeous colors to them. So everything in our brain was these green, brown, Godzilla look. They're showing peacock colors all the way down.
So they could be like
they're showing
yellow.
They're blue and pinks like a bird.
Or like
and they're feathers.
Like wait, dinosaurs had feathers.
They had like a thick feather we're talking dinosaurs, not like the term, the flying dinosaurs.
So we have no proof what even color these things
Correct.
are. They could be, look like anything.
So my question is, are the dinosaurs and are things like that, is religion a program that was fed to us that's actually part of the simulation to make ourselves feel better about that we are actually human beings and not being controlled by a program? Or is that all us digging to find a deeper level of higher consciousness? Geoff.
I think that is a very big question, and I think that a lot of people I think probably everyone would like to know the answer of that. And the fact is, we just don't know.
Yeah, but how many people actually question if the dinosaurs are real? Do you question if the dinosaurs are actually real?
Yes. But I question everything that I don't see directly or hear. If it's not like I don't know.
So
what
are your thoughts on religion and what programs were we maybe being fed?
My thoughts on it are: I was raised Presbyterian Christian, and so I, have seen that with my, I've been a part of that, seen that, but it's been a process of it. It's been I've seen it in my life as part of a process. I was baptized. I did all of that, Christianity. And I know that, that is religion is very important. And I believe people should have religion, that it's a big part of, the human process and spirituality, all very important. However, bringing in this simulation thing to it all, they don't have to exist one or the other. You can still be Christian and also believe that simulation is part of it, because in some ways they're saying similar things. You believe what you want to believe. You see, in your process, what you're seeing, what you're watching, like. You can have both at the same time. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So my opinion on that is you can have both. However, I think it does bring in the question, which I think is what you were getting at, is religion just fed to us?
A nice little story.
But I think religion, you're kind of saying the same thing.
Yeah. So is religion masking?
So if you're
the actual computers, like, is it like a nice, like, cushiony, hey, there's a God, there's religion, when actually
that's
truly
interesting.
it's a computer, it's a simulation. That's much easier to absorb, that there's a higher being and he created the earth than there's a Joe Blow who's running an algorithm running the earth.
The higher being, some people could be Joe Blow. And we just don't know.
That's what I mean. So then I agree with you. I think religion brings in a code of ethics into society.
Yes.
And with it not being a big proponent, that's when our values start to slip and we don't have a due north, a true north of like right, wrong, all of that kind of stuff. So society, but if you go back to the simulation theory, was that built in order to create less chaos? If you didn't have, whoever created the simulation
programmed it
so that, yes, we all we all believe right and wrong, and we all find our true north path, and because if we didn't have something to believe in, it would be chaos.
If people don't have something to believe in, if we, okay, so let's talk about that. That's interesting. So if everybody knew that we were in a simulation, if we knew 100% sure,
yeah,
how would the world change in that way? How would it change?
Well, according to Mr. Green, he says that it would be the annihilation of our universe, because then we've hit our boat into the side, and we found and we discover it. We would ruin it.
Why?
Whoever's creating it would be like, well, now the jig's up.
Would they? Or what happens then?
We'll have to ask Jim Carrey for Truman Show Part 2.
I think Jim Carrey's had like this awakening. I think he actually went through the Truman Show.
I think so too, because I mean,
happened.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen, the documentary, Andy and Me, it was about him transforming into Andy Kaufman, and really it was about Jim Carrey and his life, but he has gone through some massive transformations in terms of consciousness, and just incredible. If you haven't seen the documentary, I highly recommend it. There's a reason why you don't see him too much anymore, because he's on a way different playing field now.
He doesn't do movies anymore.
No, and he's an artist, and he's like, you especially should watch it. It's very good.
So I think that's interesting, and I think that by no means I think people need to stop necessarily thinking that it needs to be one or the other, as far as do you have a religion or do you believe in the simulation? Like, you can believe in both at the same time. I really believe that, and I don't think that I don't want to tell people not to have their religion. You know what I'm saying? I think religion is important. I think it's good people have it, like I said. But I think you can still remain open to the simulation while having your religion. I mean, I certainly do. I still consider myself Presbyterian and Christian. So I think that I think that there's been a lot of, and also another thing, like I mentioned earlier, is the simulation doesn't necessarily mean computers. It could mean anything. And I think that you have to really wonder, like, where are things ultimately going to go from here? Like, what is next? And technology and the internet and social media are changing the way people perceive the reality around them, because we're able to see things much quicker, and information's traveling much faster at like a higher speed. Isn't that interesting? And because information is being transferred quicker, it's changing the way we're seeing reality happening around us.
I see it because everything's coming so quick.
Yeah.
And to be conspiracy theory, maybe because everything's coming so quickly, it's to veer us away from from really absorbing things and taking a moment and being like, wait a second, everything's coming so fast and we need information right now, that maybe it's part of the simulation, in the sense that let's veer them off track so that they stay hyper-focused on
it's a distraction.
It's a distraction. Because it's like, oh, here, stop trying to figure things out. Just absorb all the information. We'll make things go faster so that you have to absorb even more information, so you don't have time to think about what's going on in the universe.
That's interesting.
Boom!
Boom. Literally.
Drop the mic.
I mean, that's it. Kira has discovered the secret of the universe. Absolutely. No, but like, that's interesting. Is AI like the good guy or the bad guy?
I mean, I think that's always the crux of, any topic that we talk about generally goes back to, where does AI fit in, and where's the balance, and is it good or bad? And, I'm watching this amazing show on Netflix. You would really love it. And I think it's called To Live With Yourself. It's Paul Rudd's new show. It's amazing. If you guys haven't seen it, I'm like obsessed with it.
To Live With Yourself.
Yeah, I think it's like Live With Yourself.
Check this out.
Let me see.
Living with Yourself.
Living with Yourself. It's so good. And I'm not plugging it because I'm getting money for it, but because I'm not. It's actually an amazing show. Here is a guy who...
This looks really interesting.
Oh, it's fascinating. You would adore it.
Yeah.
Here's a guy who, life kind of is just moping along, makes good money, job sucks. They can't get pregnant with him and his wife, just kind of like everyday common life struggles, and he just feels like crap, like a lot of people do, where you're just like in this rat race where it's just like, ugh, and he gets a business card from a colleague of his who he's in competition with at work a bit. And he's like, this is game changing.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to the spa, and the spa clones him by accident. So then now there's two of him, and trying to fit, and it's the AI medical, like it can't, they were like, we were supposed to genetically create a super you, but we screwed up and created two of you. So there's two of him, one of the worst part of him, and the part that's like the most amazing part.
Walking around.
And it's amazing, but it really takes into, it sounds insane. It sounds like, oh, that sounds futuristic, but it really isn't. With all the things happening in genetics and what we can do, and it's quite possible. What's the line where AI becomes too much of a problem? And there's one episode where he cuts a piece of his wife's hair to take it to them.
Yeah.
And he's like, you want us to clone your wife? That is so beyond out of medical practices, and all of that stuff. Where's the line draw in terms of making all illnesses go away and all everything, so that everyone lives until they're 150? We'll be overpopulating the world. So at what point does AI need to back up and just say, well, what are we doing genetically wise? What are we doing from these perspectives? You would adore this show. You have to watch it. And you guys haven't watched it.
It does remind me of that film Multiplicity with Michael Keaton.
It is, but this is far better.
Far better? Okay.
I adore Michael Keaton. He's a fellow Pittsburgher. However, this one, I think he would agree that was not his finest moment in film.
You did see that movie?
Of course, he's my,
Wow.
He's Pittsburgh's a small town.
Yeah.
You gotta root for the small guys.
Yeah. John Hamm, St. Louis.
Same thing. Jeff Goldberg from Squirrel Hill, Pittsburgh.
Jeff Goldblum?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Did I say Goldberg?
Goldberg.
Bloom. Obviously, I know my Pittsburghers. Yes. So it's similar to that. Only it's a little bit darker.
Okay.
It's not it's funny in certain cases, but makes you think, and you're like, what the F? And it's super plausible kind of stuff.
I'd be really interested to see how they deal with that concept idea. And I feel like it,
So that at what point, you watch these movies that are coming out, like Ex Machina, I think was one.
Whatever. Yeah. That was really interesting.
Where AI we create this thing that then takes over. It's almost too smart for our own good.
I feel like, well, one of the big themes to simulation theory that some people have discussed is the idea of that there could be hundreds of Kiras or thousands of Kiras, or
Jeff, there's only one.
Billions of Kiras. Only one.
Let me brush that shoulder off. There's only one Kira.
that are living simultaneously right next to each other across the universe divide, and that you are the one Kira on this frame path going, and that right next door there's one that's slightly different all the way, because it's like they don't understand. That's a complex thing to understand, but they don't understand why that would be, but that ties into it.
Would that be like parallel universe then, where I'm living in a different parallel universe?
That there could be billions of you, yes, in parallel universes that are just
not living all at the same time.
At the same time.
At the same time.
At the same time.
So there's like Kira in Japan doing the like
in a different world, in a different frame.
How does that work biology though and genetics? Like are we of the same genes?
I mean, you are you ultimately, but there could be billions of you. It's all still you. It's all the same essence of you.
There's sometimes, guys, where there's podcasts that Geoff will talk and it'll be like Mandela stuff. And I'll look out the window and I'm like, okay, I'm going to need a nap after this. because it hurts the brain to try and like wrap your head around certain stuff. And that's what he just said was one of them.
She has like mind
cannot.
Blows.
Well, there's a reason why there's people that don't want to take the ancestry DNA because they're concerned of like, here's my DNA. Who knows what the F you're going to do with it?
That like another you could show up at your door from the spa or something.
Hey, we're overpopulated on the earth. These people have terrible genes. You get to go on a truck and we're going to go ship you off to, the garbage can.
Well, that's the medical future.
Well, that's why
that's coming. Where she's like, here goes my brain again. No, they're going to one day
human disposal.
They're going to be able to find out from your genes what you're most susceptible to from your genetics. Like they're already doing it on what's it called? 23andMe. They already can do that, but it's going to get much more.
Ancestry just came out with it.
Advanced, yes.
You have to pay money each month. And it'll tell you like, hey, you're going to be prone to heart disease.
Yes.
You're going to be prone to cancer, It's
going to be that times a million. I'm prone to macular degeneration and celiac disease. That's what mine said. So I take a lot of lutein.
No, you do not.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Did you do 23andMe?
Yeah.
I did the Ancestry. I love Ancestry.
I did Ancestry too.
Of course you did.
I did.
You're like, I'm going to spread my DNA everywhere.
I get
Here, companies.
I mean,
create multitudes of me. There's not enough of Geoffs around.
Keep that. Like, I don't, and a lot of people get concerned. I don't worry about things like that.
one of them. My boyfriend's one of them that's like, I forced him to do it. I bought him a kit and I'm like, guess what we're doing today?
Oh, wow.
Scrape, or spit or whatever. And I'm like, here you go. And he's like, someone's going to show up at my door one day and knock, and they're going to be in like black glasses and a black suit and take me away because my DNA is not going to be, the human race is overpopulating planet Earth. And sorry, you get to go on this bus.
Is that what people like that think though? They think that, no, but they think somebody's going to show up at their door.
Well, I mean, that's what he thinks.
That's why they don't.
I mean, to be fair, although it sounds insane, you can't fault him for thinking something like that. My sister's another one. She refuses to take Ancestry because she's like, you have no idea what they're doing in DNA. And I'm like, okay, well, read the privacy policies. But at the same time, well, how would you, read a privacy policy. What's that going to do?
But what could happen? What, like...
They could do who
like
who knows?
Yeah. Like could they,
there's clearly at least 800 million different Geoffs out there. Because you've spread your DNA to all of these companies. So
walking around.
And I love how you're getting concerned of like, well, what could they do? And I'm like, everything, Geoff.
I can't process
You're officially an alien on planet Mars.
I can't process why. Look at the family tree I've created here.
You should see mine. How many people do you have?
Oh, I've got, I don't need, like a lot. I mean, it's pretty big. And
I have 400.
400?
Yeah.
I don't have that. But okay, so we've gone from simulation, but that's fine. But simulation topic. But I find, so I just don't understand within the genetics of it all. This does connect to simulation. So, like how, like, I hear people concerned about that, and I just wonder. I think this is an interesting.
I think it's fair. And you know what? I think it's completely fair to be concerned about that. Just like it is when you download an app And you don't realize that all of your data that you put on there, you don't own anymore. Like when you make posts on Instagram, that's no longer your information. That's theirs. So it's the same. I wouldn't be surprised if one day something comes out that there was a security breach at Ancestry DNA or something happens with wouldn't be surprised in this day and age.
So then what happens?
But I happily gave my saliva over to them, knowing that anyways, because I want to do my family tree.
Because you wanted the tree.
I mean, I'll take the,
I find that so interesting.
The risk of it.
Yeah, that I definitely take the risk.
I mean, look at the emails. We all have emails. How many of them have gotten hacked? That's an email. Can you imagine a company that has your DNA? Well, you don't think that's not going to get hacked?
What do they do with it? What do they do once they have your DNA? What do they do with it?
I don't know.
Like if someone had my DNA, I'd be like, so what are they doing? I wouldn't really understand. Okay, so let's say I hear my DNA, somebody's taken my DNA or somebody's taking your DNA.
Like tests on it.
For what?
To do all kinds. What do they do with your organs when you're an organ donor? Giving to people. They're probably taking your DNA and creating more DNA and making little science projects and little Frankensteins. There could be little Frankenstein Jeffs running around.
But if I don't meet the Frankenstein, what does that mean?
Really? You want a Frankenstein Jeff running around?
Well, if the Frankenstein's, it doesn't affect me. Let it run.
Meanwhile, it's zombie apocalypse out there of Jeffs eating people's brains, and you're like,
I'd put a bunch of treadmills around the house.
Oh my God.
Have you seen that meme?
Yes.
Where they put the treadmills around the house to fight off the zombies. Okay. Like if you put running treadmills around your house.
Oh my God.
On the outside of the house.
It's so Halloween of us.
Zombies can't ever get to your house.
By the way, side note.
We're having fun today.
Side note. I paid tickets ahead of time to go see the Joker last week. And I was like, oh, Joker, me and Damon are going to go date night. Go. And I'm sitting down, we're sitting there, and I'm like, the fuck? What is this? What is this? And it's like blood and guts, and I'm like, are we sitting in Zombieland, the movie? Oh. And I was like, am I at the wrong theater?
Yeah.
We tried. We really did. We sat there for at least 10 minutes, and then it was like, I gotta go. I cannot handle Zombieland.
And wait, so it was. Wait,
it was Woody Harrelson and Zombieland.
A different movie.
It was a completely different movie, and I was at the wrong cinema, and I was like, I mean, we missed the Joker, and we watched 20 minutes of not so pleasant Zombieland.
Well,
so I highly do not recommend watching that.
You're still gonna go see the Joker at some point. It's getting a lot of all sorts of reviews. Anyway, we've digressed quite a bit.
It's okay though.
I think it's
gonna
fun.
Be some break in of my brain explosion. I have to be able to get my brain matter back together again when you're like, hey, Kira, there's probably 10 billion of you out there. And I'm like, okay, I don't have time for a nap today, Geoff. Please.
100%. So
dear God.
She's found the brain, because it gets mind blowing for a while.
Shush.
So she finds it. And so, yeah, I just, I don't know. Like if somebody stole and made many Frankensteins, I don't really think about that stuff. But I just,
don't go see Zombieland.
Don't go see, okay.
Because that's all they do is eat people.
Okay.
It's so terrible. Sorry, Emma Stone. It's not good.
So I will not see Zombieland. So back to, where do we?
Simulation.
Go? Yeah.
So do we continue unpacking simulation, or should we just live our lives and be like, who cares if it's simulation? Just continue with your life. Why even have an hour or a half hour to even talk about simulation if it doesn't?
I think both are important.
So.
Both.
But how is that possible? How do you do both?
I think that
how do you ignore it and then pay attention to it?
I think that you live your life in the present moment, and you take life as it is, and you take in what's around you and enjoy who you are, what you're doing, your environment. Try not to get so stressed about things happening around you all the time. You live in that present moment while, whenever you feel like it, asking yourself, questions, philosophical questions. Ask yourself, it's not bad to challenge yourself intellectually while living in the present moment.
Well, I like that. That's a good way to view it. And I think you hit the nail on the head where I think we're so consumed about the future, and it's like, oh, I got to plan 10 years from now or a year from now. I'm like, oh my God, just get through the week.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can just create a goal for the day, one goal, and then get through that. Because you don't know what the universe is going to look like in a year. You don't even know what your life's going to look like. You don't know what computer program has already set up for you. So, one question I did have about the simulation, does that take away, are you in control of your program?
Well, that's a big question. Some people believe, that's a question of free will.
Right.
Some people who discuss simulation theory don't believe in free will, and some do believe in free will. That is something we honestly just do not.
I meditate, and there's a lot of attraction, and I do a lot of that stuff, and I have seen it proven over and over again. All the time. The minute I focus on manifesting and law of attraction, it's like right there. And that's what makes me think that's like, you are in control of your programming. You are in control of your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, all of that. You're thinking, you're in control of your own reality. And if you don't like your reality, then you can actually change it. That's my belief, because I've done it too many times, and too many times it's actually proven itself.
But you still could be, what you think you're controlling could still be controlled.
Okay, that's enough, Geoff. So this was an amazing podcast.
so that's
my head.
So that,
be careful of the brain.
The brain. So it's just for the third time.
You could be being controlled by being controlled, and then that person's being controlled.
Yeah. So
ultimately, who's Mr. Controller?
Right. So if you think your thoughts are your own thoughts, like I'm making affirmations, I'm doing my own thoughts, this is me. Even though you're saying that, something could be controlling you saying, this is me.
Hey, as long as when I'm like, hey, I need a check right now. I need this check that I've been waiting for right now, and I get it that day.
Yeah.
And those things happen. I don't give a shit where it's coming from.
You don't care where it's coming from.
Law of attraction, if I'm creating it, if my little algorithm friend who's creating the universe is doing it for me, thank you, Mr. Man or woman. However, I don't care.
Thank you, Supreme Simulation of everything. We thank you for controlling it all. No, I think that's...
So what do you believe?
What do I believe? Well, I still consider myself Presbyterian and Christian. But so I do
believe in free will?
Well, I believe... I don't believe that... I look at, while being Christian, I also believe that you have to look at logic and data and what people have proven. And they've proven it's 99% chance that we are at 99.999% we are in a simulation. So I take that into effect, that it seems to be very likely. And then on top of that, as far as free will, I can sit here and say that I don't know for sure.
Are you in control of your life?
I can't say if there's free will. Am I in control of my life? Yes, as far as I know. I'm in control of my life as far as I know.
It's the Frankenstein Geoff that's controlling Geoff.
A Frankenstein Geoff could be controlling Geoff. But yes, I believe in it to the degree that I know to believe in it. Any of us could just sit here and say, oh, well, something else is controlling me. There's no free will. It's, but... We don't know that. The
people that don't believe in free will believe there's a higher purpose, that there's a reason, that's doing it for them.
Yes, that's right.
Which I have a very hard time with.
What do most religions believe?
I think
Is Christianity free will or no free will?
I don't know. I haven't been to church since I was like 12. I don't remember.
Yeah, I wonder how that is across the spectrum. So yes, I would say that, I mean, I believe I have control to the degree that I can believe it. It's like a Confucius. It's like a Confucius.
That is, wow.
Mind blowing
That's so,
again.
so deep, Geoff.
I just blow her mind and we have fun here and good times, everybody.
All right. Well, we won't continue this topic because we could continue this for the next 8 hours.
We could keep going forever. This was fun, though.
This was fun.
Like a really kind of fun one today. We like bringing in some stuff that's like not getting too intellectual. Yeah, we like to kind of keep present moment.
Because everybody wants their brain intact afterwards. That's why. We
have to keep Kira's brain intact.
And everyone else, because I can imagine if my brain explodes, that means everyone else is exploding, except yours, because yours is like, well, what if? And I'm like, no. It's the
ENTP in me. It's the P, that perception.
Oh, it's definitely the P.
What if? The Myers-Briggs, the P for sure. What are you?
Ian? I can't remember. INF elemental P. I have no idea.
She's going to do her Myers-Briggs. Next week's topic, we're going to discuss Myers-Briggs.
Done. Personality tests.
We're going to do personality tests. Do you not? So, if you know your Myers-Briggs, put it in the comments.
Oh, yeah.
And we can discuss your personality next week. Write it in the comments. You can take it. There's a website, 16personalities.com. The number 16personalities.com.
It's super fun. They have really cute graphics.
Kira and I are both going to take it again this week and let you know what ours are. And we're going to discuss the foundation of this.
We're starting a foundation?
Myers-Briggs personality test.
For Frankenstein. People eaten by Frankenstein, Jess.
And the little Frankensteins are running around probably of me within the simulation.
Stay safe out there.
Stay safe. Episode 23. Geoff and Kira.
Launch Radio. We'll see you guys next week. Happy Halloween.
Here at Launch Radio, we are the future. The future is Launch Radio. Thank you, everybody. Later.